guys, Fensmarken here, and welcome to Smite. So, I've been catching a lot of, or not a lot, but some flack for saying that Chronos Pendant and Choose a Focus are bad. If you've watched my last couple of videos, you've seen me whine a lot about the builds that, I'm gonna say you guys, like your builds, more or less, that they're stupid. Because you insist on buying these Shoes of Focus and Chronos Pendants. And it's just not as good. It's bad, is what I'm stating. So when I catch this flag, I think to myself, am I wrong? So I went to check it. I'm pretty sure I'm not. So that's good. First off, when you're building, make sure you know who am I playing and what is my role. Because if you're the only magical damage dealer on your team, it's probably not a good idea to build utility, right? Because utility means less damage. Utility is what you do to keep your team alive or help your team secure kills and such. Utility is CC, it's healing, it slows, etc. You know. I think, in my opinion, cooldown reduction is utility build. Because more or less what you do with cooldown reduction, you do it so that your utility spells are on a lower cooldown. That is more or less why you build cooldown reduction. You do it so you can get more heals, you do it so you can get more stuns, you do it so you can get more knockups, you do it so you can get more slows, right? Okay. So, looking at the mages, there is 3 mages that are oddballs that we're not gonna, because they're played differently. One of which is Ao Kuang. But if you build Ao Kuang more or less like a normal mage, you'll probably do fine. Then there's Hades and Song Kui. You need to be tanky, otherwise you're just gonna feed. So I do not cover those right now. They're special. Then we have 3 groups. There's the in-hand focused, Freya being the pure example. This is what we see in the SPL. This is what we see in the ADC role right now. In-hand based magical damage dealers, right? They're really big right now, apparently. So Freya being the pure example, Chronos and Sol can kind of do it as well. They can not kind of. They can do it as well. They're not as in-hand focused and Freya. You can build them as a normal mage and do just fine. They just have the potential. Poseidon and Zeus kind of has the potential as well. Poseidon's Trident hits hard, and Zeus has the passive where his damage does more the more stacks there's on it. But it's more of a gimmick than actually viability. Poseidon being the most viable. It's Trident swings. Alright. Then there's the healers. Aphrodite being the pure example. Chang'e, Hel, Ra-ish. Ra can be both. Ra can do both mage and healer. Just fine. Chang'e can kinda do both. Hel can kinda do both. But you get the idea. On healers, cooldown reduction is a great thing. Chronos Pendant is good on healers. Shoes of Focus is alright on healers. Yes, I said it. They're fine on these. This is not my point. This is not the point I was making. I do know that I did not... what's it called? English is hard. I know that I didn't explain that thoroughly what I was on about. I do know that it was a little short, that I more or less just said that it sucks because you don't get a lot from it. On healers, it's fine. Also, I say it's fine on Nuwa. I'll get back to her. But if you have really long cooldowns that you really need, then cooldown reduction is alright. Or if you're a healer and you just want to throw out heals. Heal, 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 heal. Fine. It's alright. When you look at your god, there is things you want to emphasize, and there are things that's not as important. Looking at Ra, for instance, he can emphasize this. That's just fine. He can build for the 3. More heals. Better heals. Rather sleep heals, maybe. I don't know. It's a thing. You can build for this. This is a good ability. You can build. You can set your build up around this. You can also just set your build up around pure damage. It works too. But setting your build up around pure damage It's not the same as setting your build up against for the utility. You need different items. This leaves us with, we have the enhancers and we have the mage, or the healers. Now there's the rest of them. All of these more or less do one thing, and it's damage. Right? Some more purely than others, Anubis being the prime example of somebody who just provides damage and not much else. Thoth provides only damage, but we won't talk about him. Agni has some utility in his kit. Isis has some utility in her kit. But do you really want to build them for that utility only? Maybe. Maybe that fits your team comp. Maybe it doesn't. We're probably better off just doing damage because cooldowns are not that long. 12 seconds. 11 seconds. This one is slightly low. 15. 20. Okay. So why is it that I say that Choose a Focus on Chronos Pendant is horseshit? That when you pick Anubis and you build Choose a Focus and Chronos Pendant, why does it suck? First off, what are you gaining? 3 seconds? A little more than 3 seconds? 4 seconds? Little more than 3 seconds? And of course, yeah, that's the ult. You gain something from that. Are you really going to get a second application off? Is there a fight where you're Anubis and you throw out your kit? Somebody apparently doesn't die and you can hold it for 8 seconds without dying, but you can't hold it for 11. Is it that often? Probably not. What you're going to do on Anubis is you're gonna go in, you're gonna kill everything, or you're gonna die. Right? That's how I see it, at least. So, why is it that the fucking Chronos Pendant Choose a Focus is so bad? You gotta remember what you're giving up. So now we're going in to the training map. We're going to pick Agni because it's the basic mage. Agni is the classic mage. He has been with us always, more or less. Agni is the mage, the damage mage. Okay? Okay. You're looking at it. You're thinking,
victory is in my favor.
On one hand, I can get Choose a Focus, Chronos Pendant. I will gain 30% cooldown reduction. I will gain 115 power. That's the relevant things we're looking at here. It's going to cost me a total of 3,900 gold. On the other hand, I can get Pen Boots and Dynasty Plate Helm. It's going to give me a total of 90 power and 25 Flap Pen. Those are the relevant stats here. Okay? So you get more power with Choose a Focus and Chronos Pendant. It's undeniably true. More power. Oh, I forgot to say, Dynasty Plate Helm and Pen Boots only cost you 3,300. So a 600 gold swing. 600 gold swing. That is a tier 1 of something. What's a tier 1 in power? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. It can either be 15. So you're already here starting to creep down the power a little bit. There's also the one that's 20. Meaning that you'll be equal, almost. Alright. So with this, we have 115 power. That's 25 more than what we'd have with the other one. So you'd be like, well, 25 power. I have more power. I'm going to hit harder, right? Looking at the tooltip, you're right. 290 plus 75. Okay? So you're supposed to hit him for 365, alright? Odin has only his base protections. He has 30 of them. You're supposed to hit him for 365. You're hitting him for 279. You're hitting him for less than your base damage. Right? If you look at it,
Stare into the abyss.
that's 11 damage below your base damage. That is 86 damage down the gutter with this amount of power. 86 damage. Looking at this, you should hit him for 77 or 78, right? 59. Okay? So 279 and 59. Let's have this.
Chaos paid in full.
Let's have this. Now you're sitting here. I have less power. That's true. I have less power. This is only gonna hit him for 348. Or 49, sorry. If the tooltip is right. This is only gonna hit him for 73. If the tooltip is right. So, what does that mean? This should hit for less, right?
Overwhelming force.
That's 50 more damage. 50. From 279
Stare into the abyss.
to 329. $50. Let's look at the tick. 69. That's 10 more a tick. Do you really want to argue? Right? Do you? If we build nothing else,
My form strengthened.
not this, just power. We're just building power. We're just building power. I'll just make sure that we get only power. What else do we want? It doesn't matter. We'll just do this. Now we should hit him for 650.
Overwhelming force.
614. Okay? We sell this now.
The price of chaos paid in full.
We have more power. We should now hit him for 676 or 77.
Stare into the abyss. Overwhelming force.
Do I have to say anything?
My form strengthens.
Do I have to say anything? Do I?
Stare into the abyss.
Do I have to say anything? It's 100 damage. Okay, boys, we're back in here. I made a mistake. So, your argument would be, I'll just get an obsidian shard. Yes, you will. Okay. Then have a look at obsidian shard. Now we have your build, the blue build. We have Shoes of Focus, and we have Chronos Pendant. All right. 185 power. Looking at this, we should hit him now for 410. We have penetration, so we should be close to this, right? 410.
Overwhelming force.
Why do we only hit him for 340? Well, in this case, Obsidian Shard only represents 10 flat pence worth of penetration. Okay? How much do you get here? It hit him for 340 with these 3 items. What can I do
My form strengthens.
with 2 items? 340, right? Oh, that's the wrong way. What am I hitting for here?
Stare into the abyss.
So you buy. First off, these items are 600 gold cheaper than Shoes of Focus and Chronos Pendant. Then you add another 2,500, right? 2,500. So you are now sitting 2,650 gold ahead of my build. And you're doing 11 more damage than me. Can you let that seep in for a moment? Just let it sink.
Overwhelming.
329.
My form strengthens.
329.
Stare into the abyss.
Can you let it sink in? for just a small second here. 2,650 golds worth of items extra is 11 damage more. It represents 11 damage. What happens if I spend those 2,650 gold?
My form strengthens.
What happens? I have 2,650 gold. What happens? This is not stacked.
Overwhelming force.
I suddenly have creeping in on 100 damage on you.
Stare into the abyss.
Right? You want to argue the Shoes of Focus Chronos Pendant is a good idea? Do you want to argue? Alright, so what if we combine them? Because some of you might be like, alright, I'll get pen boots, right? I'll get this. This is really good, right? It's alright.
Overwhelming force.
374. Okay. I'm not gonna get... On Odin, if I just do this, I'm not gonna get that much benefit out of Obsidian Shard. Because it's gonna take away 10 of his protections, leaving him with only 20, and I have 25 flat pen, meaning that I have 5 flat pen too much. So I actually have overstated him here.
Stare into the abyss.
Still 20 damage more. And I have less power. And this is only because the difference is this small, because Odin doesn't have any more protection than he has. If we are hitting a late game hunter with this, he will have more. We want to kill Anher, right? We would like to kill Anher. Anher doesn't have 30, she has 48. Meaning that you're gonna take 16 away with the Obsidian Shard. That leaves him at 32. Then you're gonna take 10 away with the pen boots, leaving him at 22. It's fine, it's a decent reduction. What if you took away the Obsidian Shard, no, not the Obsidian Shard, the Chronos Pendant, and built Dynasty Plate Helm? You would take away 16, he would be down to 32, then you'd take away the 25, so he'd be down to 7, meaning you'd be hitting him just as hard as I was hitting the Odin, just with pen boots and Dynasty Plate Helm. He will still have more or less no protections. Do you see why you need flat pen? If you do not like Dynasty Plate Helm, that's just fine. But then build Spear of the Magus. It's a worse item, it's more expensive, it does the same. Spear of the Magus though, if you have ticks, it's slightly better in the late game. Or a lot better. The good thing about Dynasty Plate Helm is that it gives you some protection against the jungler. Are we gonna argue anymore that you building Shoes of Focus and Chronos Pendant is shit when you're a damage dealing mage? Alright, so I hope that we can agree that if you're a damage dealing mage now, building Chronos Pendant and Shoes of Focus is a horrible idea, alright? I hope we can agree. You saw the numbers. So what am I saying here? I'm saying that Shoes of Focus is always a bad idea, in my opinion. Because pen boots will just always be better. But should you then never build Chronos Pendant? That's not what I'm saying. At all. I am saying you should not build... I'm saying you should never build Shoes of Focus on a damage dealing mage. I'm not saying you should never build Chronos Pendant. So, why is it that I've just spent 20 minutes telling you how shit Chronos Pendant is, and now I'm telling you that it's alright to build it? Well, that is because me saying it's shit is if you build it early. Alright? If I get my way, and I build the way I want to build, completely, more or less, this is somewhat what it will look like. Like this. I now have more or less everything I want. This is not something you can just copy pasta, but it will work out in a lot of scenarios. This is more or less what I built on a mage. But you might notice something. There's 5 items here. What do I build for the 6th then, you ask? Well, that's up for debate. Depends on what I'm playing, how the game is going, what I want. I like poly. Sometimes I build poly. I like Pythagorean's piece. Sometimes I build Pythags. If I want to have fun, I might try this, because it's a lot of power, some pen, and like the passive is fun, right? It's not a good item. It's very expensive, but if I have the gold, I could. There's Gem of ISO just got buffed. It's really decent on a lot of characters. Could build that. There is Soul Reaver. I could build that. Or I could build Chronos Pendant. I'm not saying you should never build Chronos Pendant. I'm saying you should never have it first, second, or third, maybe even fourth on a damage dealing mage. That's what I'm saying. More or less. Of course, you can never say never, but it's the general idea. Because this is just so much more damage for so much less. Right? So you can build Chronos Pendant. You can. But wait. You have 6 items. With this build, you have 1 item to play with. You can switch it up. And now I'm getting rid of something that you'll be like, well, Fend, you've been sitting here for, what, 20 minutes preaching how good Dynasty Plate Helm is, and now you're selling it. Yes, there's this. It does roughly the same. It doesn't give you protections. It's more expensive. It gives you a little bit, 5 extra power, and the passive. So if you have a character that can stack this, like Poseidon, or Agni maybe, this is alright. So you can go like this. And then I wouldn't get Obsidian Shard, most likely, because I have the pen from Spear of the Magus, right? I wouldn't get Obsidian here. That leaves you with 2 items to play with. Now, when I go Spear of the Magus, it is usually because I want Warlock Sash. So my build will look something like, wow, something like, no, fence, fuff. I can't hit the X. Okay, my build will look something like this. Where is word? Okay, keep in mind, this is significantly worse early game. This is a defensive build. And you might be like, you took out protections and you called it defensive? Yeah. I can do like, this is something I sometimes do. If I have a character that can stack the Spear of the Magus, this is fine. You can also just go with the Warlock Sash first, and then Pen Boots, Dynasty Plate Helm, Book of Thoth or Obsidian. It's like the first 2 items is more or less, usually for me, Pen Boots, Dynasty Plate Helm, and then I look, do I want Book of Thoth or do I need Obsidian Shard, right? That is more or less what I'm thinking. So, if you get Spear of the Magus, you have 2 items to play with, ish. And if you get Dynasty Plate Obsidian, you will only have 1. This means you can build Chronos Pendant if you so desire, right? Also, bear in mind that gods like Anubis, for instance, looking at his passive, he gets magical lifesteal scaling off his passive. So, starting Anubis off, I always go for Pythags. I know some of you go for Bancrofts, that's fine. I like Pythags more. that leaves you with less items to play with, right? But I don't usually get a Dynasty plate on Anubis. I can sometimes if there's a lot of physical damage dealers. I'll consider it. I usually just get Spirit of the Magus. And then business as usual, right? So I promised you I'd get back to Nuwa. So why is it that I don't hate you building Shoes of Focus and Chronos Pendant on Nuwa? I don't... Like, I hate the Shoes of Focus. Really? I would much rather you didn't. But if you're a... See, here's the thing. If you're a good Nuwa player, I don't think you'd build cooldown. But if you are good at Nuwa and you build cooldown, she has this. They take away magical protection. Meaning that when you get these more, you actually somewhat gain pen, if that makes sense. And it's on a fairly long cooldown, same as this. Earn 2 very long cooldowns, so she benefits a lot from the cooldown reduction. So on Nuwa, I don't hate it, but you'll have to also build some utility, like Gem of Iso, Divine Ruin if they have healers and such, if you're going this route. And it'll limit your damage output significantly. But you'll be more of a CC machine, or a, like, you'll be annoying. You'll ult them and put shit on them. Look at the cooldown on the ult, it's 110 seconds, so you gain a lot. She has long cooldowns, so I don't mind it, but I would much rather just see it come later. Right? You can always sell Dynasty Plate Helm later. If you're full build, you have your pen. They're starting to, I mean, you have a lot of damage, you're playing Nuwa, it's late game, you have Dynasty Plate Helm, you can sell it and get something else, right? There's, like, you can, it's a cheap item, you can sell that. I wouldn't do it on other characters because you're giving up pen if you're not getting pen. You can send Dynasty Plate Helm for Spear of Desolation if you so desire, because it's just, it's more flat pen, it's more power, so it's just better if you don't need the physical protection, right? So, this was my thoughts. So keep in mind, you can build Chronos Pendant. I'm not saying don't build Chronos Pendant. I'm saying wait until your 5th or 6th item. Unless you're playing a healer, then it's fine. I don't necessarily dislike it on Nuwa, like I just mentioned, but I'd rather you didn't. Anyways, I hope I made my thoughts clear, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.